Hey guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk to you about how to rescue an orchid, specifically a Phalaenopsis orchid. I thought that it would be a good idea to talk about this today because phals or Phalaenopsis orchids are probably the most popular orchids around right now. They're widely available at the supermarkets, and a lot of people are attracted to them when they go shopping. However, when they get home, after a few months of enjoying the blooms, they find that the stems have dried off and they think, oh, my phal is dead, or how do I look after it? How do I make it rebloom? The other thing is sometimes if you're lucky, you can get phals at clearance prices at the stores where the blooms are past their prime and you still want to maybe bring it home and see if you can get it to rebloom again. So to help me along in this video, my two friends have volunteered their orchid to me for me to rescue for them, and I don't think they'll mind that I do a little video for that. So what do we have here? We have a phal that is definitely past its prime. As you can see, it had two lovely stalks. Unfortunately, the stalks have dried off, the flowers have dropped. One thing to note here is the way the stalks and the flower dried. They're all very sudden. It looks like, all of them kind of dropped off at the same time. It makes you think that perhaps there's an abnormal process here, because it's really important to understand, obviously, like all plants, it's very normal for flower spikes to dry off, but usually it happens more gradually and you end up with just maybe a naked stalk remaining, which might eventually dry up. And when that happens, some people wonder, oh, is my plant dead? Do I just toss it out? And some people do throw their phals out in the garbage at that point. But no, it's not dead. This situation right here, the plant is not dead, but it's not looking great. One promising thing is the new leaf that's starting out here, and the leaves themselves are still nice and stiff. Now, when I took their orchid to try and rejuvenate, I noticed that there was a lot of water at the base. The water was actually up to here, so it was sitting in just stagnant water, which is also not very good for the health of their orchid. The second thing is the way the orchid was watered was using ice cubes. A lot of people do this because there's a company out there which sells orchids, and part of their care instructions is to just add ice. Now, the problem with that is often really cold temperatures can damage the roots. So in the short term, it might be easy and fine, but if you're hoping to keep your orchid for long periods of time, it might be a bit difficult. And it seems to have caused some damage to the roots here. But the media of this orchid was very broken down, and there's also some patches here that look like mold. So all in all, it's not doing great, and I worry that there might be some crown rot. But I thought what I'd do is bring it home, check it out for them, change the media, do something different with the pot, clean up the roots, and yeah, hopefully maybe with a little bit of time, this orchid here will be bringing them new buds. Okay, so let's just get started. So, okay, now first thing first, I'm going to just unclip these guys. Oh, okay. Remove that, and let's quickly take a look. Okay, so I've already poured out most of the water, but you can see there's still some at the base there. You can see just from a brief general inspection, there's some mushy brown roots here, so those have to go. There's luckily a lot of good green roots, so there is hope for this plant. Okay, so I'm gonna just take it out. Okay, as you can see, the media is very broken down. Okay, so I'm going to remove all the media, and then I'm going to take it to the sink and wash out the roots. Okay, and then I'll come back and we'll move on. Okay, all right. So yeah, I think now it's time to go and do the washing. Okay, be right back. All right, now we're back, and let me just show you the roots that have been cleaned somewhat. As you can see, there are some green roots, but there's also a lot of soft roots. Now, when you look at cleaned roots and you see this root here, just because it's not green, it doesn't mean it's a bad root. It's still nice and firm. What is a bad root is this one, because if you touch it, you can see that it's completely squishable, right? Super soft. And that means the velamen, which is this covering here, it just comes off the root. And when that happens, it's considered dead. Okay, so we feel along here, it's still, oh, so this is kind of where it dies. So what you want to do is you want to go around, find all those dead roots, and just don't, you don't have to be too gentle. Like, live roots are they're gonna be able to withstand that. See, that just came off. And I wanted to let you guys see this, so you knew what that was about. And oh, so sad here. There's definitely some tips that wanted to grow, but they weren't able to in the conditions that the mix was in. It's a lot of root rot. Really, you can see here that this was a good tip until very recently when it became waterlogged and rotted. So we're going to remove all of that, just like that. There's something quite cathartic about cleaning orchid roots, I think. Okay, now it's a nice long root. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sterilized tiny little scissors. It's always important when you're doing any kind of orchid cleanup, you sterilize the equipment that you're using. Sorry, the light just went out. Because you do not want to spread any infection, okay? And you just snip the dead roots as close to the base as you can. If a root is dead, you don't have to cut the entire root. For example, just cut over here, right? Just the dead part. And let's see what we have. And oh, this is a good example. I guess you might be wondering, what do I do with this? It's dead halfway. Some people say cut it. I like to leave it because, you're cutting so many roots. This is rotten though. I'm cutting so many roots that I'm going to cut here. You want to leave at least some roots for it to, absorb water. And the key is you want to get as much of the dead material out as possible, so as to discourage any rot occurring in your plant. Okay, I think we're pretty good. Oh, we still have some here. Still not 100%. Okay. Okay. It's slippery. Now, this bark came quite off quite easily, but sometimes it can be a bit difficult. So usually what I like to do for my own orchids, I like to leave the stalks on and let the energy drain out of them naturally, but these guys do not look good, so I'm going to cut them as close to the base as I can. Okay, there. Okay, and then I'm going to just go over here and cut again. Okay. All right. Now, next I'm going to go right to the base and look for any dead material, okay? And pull them up with clean tweezers, sterilized again. And you can sterilize your tools with either rubbing alcohol, so that's isopropyl alcohol. You can use a flame if you wish as well, or you can boil them. And it's important to do this, especially if you're working with multiple plants. You don't want to transfer any diseases between the different orchids. Okay, it's really sad. This guy was trying to do well. You see all these new root tips that are doing wrong. Okay, so now I'm back, and most of the roots have been cleared up. As you can see, the majority of what's left is green. There are some white roots, but they're all nice and firm. What I've also done, I didn't show you, is I just took a little paper towel and I just dabbed the base of the plant because I just wanted to make sure that I hadn't accidentally put any water in too close to the base or the crown of the plant, because that could potentially lead to rot. So I just cleaned that up, and then in the areas that I cut off the stalks, I just put some ground cinnamon powder just all right over there. We can see the little, right there, that's ground cinnamon powder. And oh, I have some on my finger actually. And I also just put some ground cinnamon powder just along there because there had been something that looked slightly like fungal growth, so I just wanted to clean that up. Okay, now that that's done, what's next? Well, I washed out this pot, okay, and before I do that, actually, I've also gotten a spray bottle of hydrogen peroxide, which I'm just going to spray the roots, and the reason you do that is it will kill any snails or anything like that, and it won't harm the plant. This is just 3% hydrogen peroxide that I picked up from the drugstore, okay, and it's just on the wound dressing areas, and you just do that and let it just sit for, you know, a few seconds, a few minutes, and you'll hear a slight sizzling sound. You might not be able to hear it right there, but that's it just working. It will not harm the plant at all. Okay, and while it's doing that, I'm just going to let it sit back in its little pot that I've cleaned now, okay, and just wait for a bit. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so here we are again, and the hydrogen peroxide has done its work, okay. So at this point, what I'm going to do is repot my orchid. Now, what do I have here? I have decided to use Hydroton pellets. So these are the clay pellets, the round pellets that you might see at some garden centers as my media today. The reason I've decided to do that is because A, you know, it's a very good, well-draining medium, and B, my friends that I'll be returning to, I don't think they will be able to care as much for a plant, let's say, that's in sphagnum and maybe even bark, because from what I'd seen before, they had overwatered it, and hydrogen at least will be able to tolerate that a little better. The next thing is hydroton pellets. Because they are an inorganic media, you're not going to need to be constantly unpotting and repotting the plant. So I thought that was a good choice for it, okay? So to begin, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this here, okay? Just because I don't want, I soaked my hydrogen pellets as well in some water. What you do is you want to rinse it first before you do it, because there's a lot of clay dust particles, okay? Anyway, so I soaked mine first before anything. Just get a little layer so that it brings up some water, okay? And then I'm just going to do this so you guys can actually see it, okay? So I'm not going to change the size of the pot because I think this will be an okay size for this orchid, okay? Oh, see, as you can see, oh, whoops. As you can see, there's enough room, so I'm going to take some pellets out and try again. So really, you know, when you're potting orchids, it's kind of a trial and error. You just see how things go. Okay, so maybe that's a bit better for it. Okay, good. Much better. Okay, so looks pretty stable. Make sure that you want it, the plant directed in a way that you want it to be directed. And once you have that, you can go ahead and you just start filling it. So it's as easy as that. So you just take it a lot. Okay, pretty easy. Anyway, and you can see it's slowly starting to fill up. Okay. Gonna have to do some work just trying to get the bits in there because they will slowly shift inwards, but in the start they might just be a little funky. But all in good time, all in good time. Should have put more paper down on my table because it's a little, the paper is a bit wet. Okay. Okay. The other thing that's great about the hydrogen pellets is that it's very hard, in my opinion, to overpack hydrogen because, you know, it's not going to harm the plant. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, just 1 second, I'm going to get a clean paper towel. And now we're back. I'm going to clean the spikes that it came in because I would like to secure the plant now. And just try to just generally aim it so you don't, you know, go through roots, but it's not a exact science by any means. So, you know, just do that. Okay. And then you get some of the clips and see if you can secure it as best as you can. Okay, so here we go. Here is the orchid secured at the base with a little garbage twisty tie, you know, these guys that you get with your plastic bags. Yep. And it's just with its old stake, just to give it some stability, allow the plant to settle in. And it's the same pot. I've put in hydrogen pellets, and as you can see, there's a lot of aeration roots. Now, the way that I've done is that since I've already soaked these guys in water, I'm not going to give it another watering, and because it's been, you know, staying in a pretty waterlogged medium, I'm going to let it rest without any water today. And in the future, of course, you can always add more water. And here we go. This is the end product. So hopefully this will do well for us, okay? Okay. Well, we'll check up on it maybe in a bit. And I'll happily report back, okay? Until next time. Bye, guys.